Hello and welcome back to the Beyond the Coach podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kelsey Nanini.
And I am Krys Sweet.
And today we get a chit chat with Krys about what as we're recording this, what the last 2 weeks have looked like because she's on her last day, like it's day 14 of her gut protocol. So Krys, tell us a little bit more about why you're doing that.
Why did I allow
What's
myself
happening?
to suffer for the
Yeah.
last 2 weeks, pretty much? I feel like I'm crossing the finish line. I've never ran a marathon, but I feel like it probably feels very similar where it's like crossing the finish line, being like, oh, I did it. Like, the hardest part is over. But just a little bit of back context and story. So I, in 2022, did a gut protocol, and I'll kind of talk about that in reference to the protocol that I'm on now and just kind of talking about the difference of the experiences, because this one was a lot better and positive of an experience in comparison to what I did in 2022. But I essentially was dealing with just very chronic bloating. And I feel like the word bloat, let's be honest, is so overused of a word. I think a lot of people don't know like what is normal bloating of like, hey, you just eat something and like your body just needs time to digest it versus abnormal bloating and like distended stomach and the abnormality of symptoms that can come from it. And so I had been dealing with some bloating. It really onsetted, kind of the worst of it was when you and I went to Mexico in March. So I had gone to Mexico. I did end up with TMI traveler's diarrhea, not super fun. I remember, and I don't know if you remember, there was like one night where I was just up like all night. Like I was upstairs on the couch, like Kelsey and I's bedroom in the Airbnb was downstairs, and I was just like nauseous, awful, like just couldn't even fathom like standing up and walking around. It was like the worst thing. And I knew at that point, I was like, something is, I know, going to be wrong, probably leaving here. There was already a lot wrong with obviously ankle, road rash, all the things that came with Mexico. But I knew kind of this feeling in my head of like, something is going to come from this symptom, from this feeling. And before that, I had been experiencing like some bloating issues, but it wasn't to the point where I was like, I need to go get this checked right here, right now. So after we got back from Mexico, I kind of just let things slide for a couple months. We went through a lot of stuff with Bo, obviously. And that's the other thing I want to bring into the conversation is like stress. Like there had been a lot of stress in this past year alone that really attributes to obviously your GI and your internal health. So I think it was definitely an accumulation of so many different things happening, but essentially it just got to the point where I was waking up over this last month really, and I would text you too, like waking up and just having the worst of cramps in my lower abdomen. And basically I would wake up, drink water, have like a rice cake because that's all I could stomach first thing in the morning, get to the gym, and maybe 10, 15 minutes into my workout, I would have the worst distended stomach after only having literally water and a rice cake and then feeling nauseous and cramping because of it. So it was just this compounding effect. And it's the fact that it was happening first thing in the morning. I wasn't even waking up having this window of feeling good. I was waking up and just not feeling great. I also noticed too that my weight was kind of fluctuating and I was very much holding on to a lot more water and a lot more inflammation. So it got to that point where, and anyone who's gone through functional health or even anyone who has started their fitness journey has gotten to a point where you're just like, enough is enough. I need to like go to the gym. I need to track the macros. I need to follow the plan. I need to do whatever. For me, it was like, enough is enough. I do not want to live like this anymore. I truly want to be able to wake up, go to the gym, feel good, and be in the embodiment, like sorry, there's sirens if you guys can hear that. Typical Salem, Massachusetts over here. Always a siren going off. It's crazy.
I can't hear that one.
Okay, perfect. But essentially it just got to the point where like enough is enough. And I want to be the very embodiment of the type of coach, one, that I want to coach and the coaches I want to help and be the result of what I'm trying to help those coaches through. And that's very much what we preach to our coaches is like, hey, we want you to be the embodiment that you want your very clients to be and to walk that walk and talk that talk. So it essentially got to that point where I was like, okay, something's got to give. I immediately went and I ordered a GI map because I knew that that was what I was going to need. So I ordered that through our functional team that we have for us in particular in our team. I do also work with a coach myself. So when I'm looking at all of the data, all of the numbers, essentially it all made sense. The cool part was that my 2022 GI, I actually had improvements from 2022 to now. So I was like, wow, okay, not everything is like in the red or the abnormal, but I did have definitely some major markers that stood out, and that was H. pylori and leaky gut, which are actually two very common issues actually that pop up for a lot of people. I know Candida. You good over there?
I almost spilled my coffee.
That would have been so upsetting.
Really sad.
Are we recovered? I know a lot of
All is
people will
good.
struggle with like candida, different issues too from their GI map. So yeah, I did the GI map. It came back and it all made sense, which is why I embarked on this detox for the last 14 days. Not everyone necessarily has to do a super restrictive detox like what I did, but essentially you're just stripping back everything, following more of a low FODMAP diet. I had very, very, very few like higher FODMAP foods in there just to kind of obviously keep it in the rotation, but pretty much stripping back. And I have followed a very strict meal plan for the last 14 days of literally all the same foods on repeat. So yeah, that's kind of what got me to the point of doing this 14-day detox, and it's considered a flush protocol. And then the next phase of this is the feed protocol, where I start to reintroduce foods into my system while simultaneously continuing the supplementation that I have been doing for the last 14 days with some adjustments as I go about kind of the next month or so. We'll see kind of how long it takes.
Yay. I want to go back to, because you mentioned like detox, and to so many people that are listening, and even if you're a coach, it's a very taboo word. It's very much like, oh, I'm doing my tea detox. Like I remember when that was a thing. Or like I tried a 7-day reset through like Beachbody when I was a Beachbody coach way, way back when.
Throwback.
And I didn't make it, but it was like they made it so miserable. It's literally like you're just eating juice and nuts. That's literally what I remember eating. That's like all I ate. And I didn't make it. I did not make it. And I thought that was what was going to make me skinny. So I think it's really important to like clarify like what is the detox that you went through and like what does it entail?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I myself did juice cleanses back in college. Like, no, not fun, not drinking.
Like binge drink on the weekend and then just do your juice
No,
cleanse.
literally. I was like, okay, ripping tequila shots at the clubs on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, having this bender. And then Monday I'd have my cucumber juice pretty much.
Like, wasn't this just a mixture this past weekend? Like, I just chased a drink with this.
Yeah, I took the juice cleanse a little too far. In my head, it was all liquid. So anything counted at that point.
I mean, you have a valid point.
As a college student, you gotta do what you gotta do with your mentality. But yes, I definitely think detoxes get that weird connotation. And when people hear the word detox, maybe they can look at it and be like, oh, she's barely eating. She's in, maybe eating 1,000 calories or less. My meal plan very much was a minimum of 2,000 calories a day. So I was eating ground turkey for the first week was like my main source of protein. So only ground turkey. And then I was able to graduate into having grass-fed ground beef. And then also I was allowed to have like chicken and shrimp, but I couldn't have two on the same day. So I always had to have ground turkey for one of my meals. And then I just added in one, because if you are doing basically a detox or an elimination, when you're adding things in, you don't want to add in 2 new things in one day or 3 new things in one day, because if you do flare up, if you do have bloating or whatever, that is a different symptom than what you were experiencing before. Then it's hard to tell, well, was that the chicken? Was it the shrimp? Was it the beef? I don't know. So I was able to kind of slowly add things in come week 2. And I've been having 2 smoothies a day. And if anyone has ever literally had a smoothie, you know that you can pack a lot into it. A lot of calories can get packed in. So it's very high fiber smoothie. It's also calorically dense, where I'm adding in juice to it. I have a powder, like a protein powder that I've been putting in it. And then I add blueberries, cucumber, freaking cucumber, not cucumber juice.
Cucumber coming back.
Good cucumber.
And you probably can't taste the cucumber.
No, I can't taste literally any of the greens, like spinach, fennel's in it, chia seeds.
Fennel. That's like an aggressive like taste too.
Can't taste in a smoothie.
Nice.
Could I eat it like as it? No. Smoothie, no problem. I could add that in.
Yeah.
And then MCT oil, which is really good as well. And just pretty much like water and ice. So I've been having that 2 times a day. And then I get 2 snacks a day, which is like nuts, apples, apple juice, to get a lot of calories in as well through apple juice. And then basically yeah, my ground turkey, sweet potato in the morning for lunch, and then in the evening I would have quinoa and I would add like carrots or zucchini to that. I can also add in like olive oil, cooking with olive oil, making sure I have that, and I can also add different like sauces as if like a salsa. Garlic expressions is a dressing that I can have, and then coconut aminos. Those were kind of the main things that I was rotating. So between all of that, to be completely honest, and also drinking minimum gallon of water a day, I felt very full and very content on this detox. And the whole purpose was for me to be eating as close to maintenance above 2000 calories as possible. I also have been stripping back my training. So I've only been training 2 days a week. And then everything else is walking. I'm allowed to walk every day if I want, but the whole idea is to remove as much stress and inflammation from your body. And unfortunately, like workouts are a stressor on the body and can increase that inflammation. So stripping it back for a little bit. But yeah, that's essentially been what my foods have looked like, and the caloric contents as well. And trying to aim for at least 100 grams of protein has kind of been the focus as well.
And conveniently, this was done by your coach who's already your coach. Like this wasn't just you looking up Pinterest and doing a detox. Like this
Exactly.
was literally you guided through it.
Yes. Yeah. And having a coach has been like, this is the biggest difference between 2022 and now. I was working with an RD back in 2022. And now this go around, I'm working with my coach, who has gone through the training herself and, has educated herself a ton, the same way that you and I are, to understand how to serve clients with these symptoms. Kelsey is a lot more well versed than I personally am. So Kelsey and I really collaborate a lot on that. And having someone who could just sit down and like make the plan. And if anyone has listened to our podcast before, we've talked about like cookie cutter plans and meal plans and when they should be used and when they shouldn't. Having a meal plan was truly the like godsend that I needed of these last 2 weeks, because the first time I did it in 2022, the RD essentially handed me a food list and was like, hey, here's a low FODMAP food list. There was no meals kind of combinations together. There was no nothing. Also, I come from a background of disordered eating. So I felt like I was kind of being given this list and I was looking at it as these are the only foods I can eat. And I was fixating on the foods I couldn't have. And I was really struggling to understand like, well, what meal concoction should I do? I was also macro tracking in combination with it. And this go around, I was given a meal plan and I was not macro tracking. I was still using my food scale because all of my serving sizes were laid out on the meal plan. So I was looking at that, but that just took a lot of mental energy off of me to be like, okay, I'm following this meal plan. I still had substitutions I could add in. Like I could have grapes in the evening, or I could add grapes as a snack throughout the day. I could do like raw bell peppers if I wanted to with some hummus as a snack as well. There was a lot going on there. So it was just a lot more support this go around. The RD that I worked with was so knowledgeable. Obviously, you have to be, in my opinion, to be offering testing, or at least have a support team that can offer that and give the support. And so for my coach to be able to say, hey, here's a PDF of your meals, of your supplement schedule, of everything that you need. For me, as someone who is also very busy day to day and is very go go go, it allowed me to just like have it in autopilot as hard of a protocol as it was.
Yeah. That it's so important to have someone that's like actually knowledgeable in it, because there's so much information out there. And even me going through, like you mentioned, I've been going through the certification, the same one actually that your coach is going through or went through. I still don't feel well versed enough to do it. So like I'm still learning as I go, and I would never put somebody through a gut protocol. So I think it's really important you're choosing the right coach, which is why we have our functional team to really help support that, and support us there. But before we get into that, you obviously are a coach. You obviously know like things to look out for when there's, a gut dysfunction going on, and you've also experienced it before, which partially helped. But for someone who doesn't have that and is just living their day to day thinking all these symptoms are normal, actually they said something really good on the my training last night. It was like, just because something is normal doesn't mean, like, normal to you doesn't mean it's right. And that hit, because I was like, so many people normalize all of these symptoms because they were just stressed and going day to day. So what are some things that people can like look out for on this? And also, what would you tell someone who is like potentially going through something like this as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do want to go back to your last statement, and something I really love is that my coach still works with a mentor, so she still has like a functional practitioner mentor that she'll go to, and I love that she would tell me, "Hey, I need to go to my mentor and like talk to my mentor about this. Like, let me go to my mentor and like get a second opinion." That's actually was a green flag for me. It was like, oh wow, she's gonna take my questions and not just assume what to put together, but more so go to her mentor and get like a second opinion. I also have our functional team. The only reason I didn't go through our functional team fully was I'm paying for my coach, and that's already included in what I'm paying for. So I was like, I might as well get the protocol. She runs all of my nutrition and training. It makes the most sense. So yeah, I really value when people do have mentors and do go through that, and I think it's huge. Now, for symptoms that really like stand out and for the normalcy of that, that's very much what I felt I was in. It was getting to the point where every week I was telling Kenneth like, I really love a Mediterranean diet. I think it's so good. I personally love it. I'll switch it up a little bit, but I kept saying to Kenneth, I'm just going to do like the Mediterranean diet because it's anti-inflammatory. I just thought I was like maybe eating something that like was upsetting my stomach, or maybe I was just like, I don't know, I was tracking my macros. So I was like, I don't really actually know where these fluctuations are coming from. And that's actually the first red flag, was me doing everything quote unquote right and still feeling like something was off. And we hear this so often when people come to us on sales calls. They'll say, I feel like I'm doing everything right. I'm doing this, I'm doing this. If you were doing everything right, truly, you're not going to be feeling how you're feeling. And if you are feeling that way, we totally in this society normalize these symptoms coming up that actually are hindering our day-to-day life. And that's when it really started to almost be the red flag for me, was like, oh shit, this is now impacting my workouts. This is now impacting me going out on a Friday night with a friend and feeling uncomfortable. This is me now feeling the opposite of the very things, again, that I'm trying to preach on social media and talk to people about. And when all of that was coming up for me, I was like, okay, enough is enough. I have to do this. So one thing is to look at, is it hindering your lifestyle? Like, is it coming to that point where like you truly just feel so uncomfortable? Do you feel like you are doing everything right? Have you put in the effort to maybe track your macros? Like if you are having weight fluctuations, go track your macros and make sure at least calorically you are eating in maintenance, or making sure you're having appropriate amounts of food. Obviously, if you have any food intolerances, try to remove those things to remove any inflammation and see if those are causing some symptoms. Other red flags can obviously be different bowel movements, depending on your bowel movements and what's kind of going on there, whether you're having high frequency, low frequency, or even blood in your stool. There are so many different red flags that can pop up there. For me, I was having moments of like constipation, but then moments of high frequency. Like I would basically not go and then I would go. And I was like, this is not normal. Like this is not normal digestion for me. And then the bloating is like the distension. So like having distension in either lower abdomen or upper abdomen. For me, it was actually my lower abdomen. Also, if you feel any pain, like if you're pressing down and there's like actual physical pain, if you're experiencing cramping or like period like symptoms as I was having without even being in your period, that was a red flag for me. And then also from a biofeedback perspective, if you are chronically exhausted, like no matter what, you're just so tired, you can't go about your day, maybe recovery is not going as well, that stuff is also something to look into. So there's a lot that you can look at that, again, you can say, oh, well, I'm low energy, like I drink all weekend, that's normal. That is like, hey, there was this thing that let cause and effect. There was this thing that caused this thing to happen, essentially, for this
Yep.
feeling. Again, going back to the statement of, if you're feeling like you're doing everything right, but you're still feeling this way, something's got to give. Something's not working in your favor. So advice that I would give to someone going through that is, one, it's okay to figure out if this is normal or not. I think a lot of people are ashamed to figure it out and like go to someone and be like, hey, I'm having this, because to them, again, they feel it's normal. So to them, it could be like, well, it's just stupid of me to go to someone, or this is a dumb question for me to ask because like maybe it's this, especially in the world where like bloating can feel a little normalized when
Yeah.
it shouldn't be to certain degrees. And you and I have actually exchanged like even social media posts together of like, hey, this person's preaching this, but like we can tell that there's probably something else going on functionally with them. We've had those discussions, and it can feel like a shame and guilt cycle. It doesn't have to be. If you simply go to the right person, for me, it wasn't going to a doctor. It was going to my coach. It was going to our functional team. It was talking with you and getting validation from the people that I trusted the most to say, hey, this isn't normal. You don't deserve to live this type of life. Like this can be improved. And do the testing, because it's better to do the testing and figure out truly is something wrong or not, to get validation. That was huge for me when I did the GI map and I got the results back and I was like, oh, something is wrong. Like I'm not crazy anymore for feeling these things. And we hear that from our clients when they get their testing is like this relief of like, while you don't want anything to be wrong with you, you get confirmation and validation from literal testing that will say point blank if something is right or wrong. So yeah, I think general advice is talk about it, find support, get the test done. For us, we do even a BHE with our clients where we start to like see where dysfunction is from a subjective level from them first. So having some sort of quiz done, you guys can reach out to us and talk to us about that. Um, and then from there, like when you do go into the protocol itself, like if something is coming up, it's truly the same advice. And we say this almost every podcast. And I've said it ever since our functional practitioner said it to me is like, it's for now, it's not for always. Did the last 14 days suck? Yes. Did I text Kelsey on day 7? Like, hi, I literally feel like death right now and my
Yeah.
brain doesn't function. I was even just like missing things, like even work. I would work and answer messages for 20, 30 minutes. And you would have thought that I went and got in like a 60-minute workout. Everything is harder,
Feels like you're pregnant.
slower, literally heavier. Everything is so difficult. And it's that mental battle of remembering how you felt originally and what you're trying to do for yourself that kept me at least really steady in this detox of like, okay, if I just do this, one, it's a thing hopefully I don't have to do again. It's a box I
Yeah.
get to check. But two, okay, if I do this, the other side, what is that going to feel like? What is the other side of me? Because I know if I didn't commit, what is that? That's me accepting that, okay, I just want to go live the way that I just lived for the last, 3-4 months of this discomfort that I was in.
Yeah. And I want to go back. You mentioned just like taking a test, and this has come up with a few of our clients of just like when you go through testing and then you get your protocols, it can be pricey. Like it
Mhm.
totally can be. So I'll let you talk on that a little bit, but I also want to just like preface it with like when you're going through these things and you can be talking about this firsthand, it's uncomfortable. You are uncomfortable in your body. You're uncomfortable to probably wear most of your clothes. Like you said, working out's uncomfortable. Just doing your day to day is uncomfortable. Your life is uncomfortable. And I think that when you come to that point of like, yes, it is expensive. I'm never going to tell someone how to spend their finances. But for me, I would much rather put that shit on a credit card and pay it off over time to feel more comfortable. You have to like bring it comes down to like cost versus price. The cost of not doing it is that you still are uncomfortable. The price is like, yeah, it's a little uncomfortable. Like you had to, spend potentially that it could be $1,000,
Yep.
truthfully. But if that heals you, then is the cost outweighing the price? And so if you want to just talk on that a little bit, I think it's something small to talk on, but something so important too.
Yeah, I always say when it comes to health, you pay for it now or you pay for it later. Like there's gonna be going back to like cost and price. It's like you can pay for it now of like saying, okay, take my card. I'm gonna pay for these supplements. I'm gonna pay for these food items. I will say food has not been expensive. Like
You're not
the
buying like all the extra processed, like you're not
I'm
buying
not
snacks.
exactly like my grocery bill has actually been a lot less over the
Yeah.
last 2 weeks.
Well, and
I'm
it can be
going in.
bulk. Costco.
Exactly. Costco, guys. Costco's the way to go. But yeah, the way that I always look at my health and anything is that like I pay for it now. If I pay for it now, what happens? If I pay for it now, what's the return of investment I'm going to get from that here, right here, right now, in the version of myself that I'm in the season of life that I'm in? And to just talk on that for a second, like Kenneth and I are probably going to try for kids in the next year or two. And with that, a huge thing for the both of us is being like our healthiest selves going into trying for a child and carrying a child. And I know you're obviously in that season of life now where it's like, okay, paying for it now. And I go through this protocol allows me the next year and a half or so to continue that pursuit of becoming my healthiest self. If I don't pay for it now and I spend the rest of 2025 feeling like shit, and then I go into 2026 and I still normalize these things, what's going to be the cost then? Because it could also just be more expensive then. And that's what I'm saying by pay for it now. What's the return you get? Pay for it later. What are you going to get? It's going to be more expensive later because likely problems are, and we actually caught my H. pylori really early. So I have more of a mild case of it, but it can worsen over time. So trying to kill off H. pylori when you're in a more extreme spectrum of it is going to be more expensive than if you catch it early on and just nip it in the bud when you can. So looking at it that way, and then I've said it before on our podcast, you know, you can have all the problems in the world, but when you have a health problem, you have one problem. And for me, it was like when this popped up, that was my only problem I wanted to solve. It wasn't finances. Do Kenneth and I have debts we want to pay off? Yes. Do Kenneth and I have financial goals we want to reach? Yes. Are we about to pay for an expensive move? Yes. However, what version of me am I wanting to be moving across the country, packing my
Yeah.
boxes, supporting my family, getting to Arizona, wanting to build a business, wanting to be my best self and connect with other people? And I think of the social life I also want to have in Arizona. Am I going to be able to have that if I ignore these problems? Like that is the cost long term that you have to pay if you don't get your problem solved. So that is fully my philosophy. And I would rather 100% pay for it now. And also, again, the earlier you pay for it, the cheaper it ideally is going to be, even if that's a steep number. And ideally, you don't have to pay for it again. And it goes such a long way in the maintenance of your health long term.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's always room to find ways to pay for something. And it comes with, like you said, like your food's way cheaper. So like when we're looking at it as like, okay, you look at the blanket statement of, okay, these supplements are going to be $500. I can't pay for that. Okay, well now you're not eating out because there's nothing you can eat out. Like for 2 weeks, you can't eat out. Like you're not getting all these extra things. You're literally just getting like plain shit.
That's a great point. Yeah, not
Yeah.
eating out for the last 2 weeks and like coffee money. I've no caffeine, no alcohol. I'm like, I actually said that to Kenneth. We went out last weekend and him and my friend, they got drinks and I obviously was drinking my lemon water. I was like, I'm detoxing, you know, I'm just gonna have my lemon water.
You're
Um,
sorry, I'm on a detox.
Sorry, I'm on a detox. I'm like, the waitress probably thought I was crazy with some of my requests. I was
oh
like,
God.
she's like, oh, she's one of those. Like, okay.
She's boring. She sucks.
But they were drinking and we were at the beach and then we went to one of the restaurants. They had like a 45-minute wait. There was a bar next door to the restaurant. So we were like, okay, let's just go to the bar. It was right on the water. It was beautiful. Kenneth and my friend each got a drink and it was like $35 total, $37, maybe $40 after tip. And I was like, in my head, I was thinking, wow, thank God I didn't drink. Because that just would have been like literally $100 extra worth of alcohol. Because then they got a drink at the restaurant we went to. And I was like, for them, in total, that added up close to like $80 in alcohol because of how expensive it is nowadays. And so for me, yeah, 100%. Like, and people don't recognize that when it comes to their budget. It's like, I get socially, I hear you. Social life, so important to me. Personally, one of my values is to be able to spend time with my friends and family, be able to travel, be able to try coffee shops, be able to do all of that stuff. But again, those things were starting to hinder me. And if I can allow myself for a short period of time to get rid of that for a long-term benefit, great. And again, I can go back to spending that money when I'm not having to pay for all the supplements I'm paying for now.
Yeah. And to the point of the social life, like you went to a Patriots event with your mom, you went to the beach. Like you've actually been very social in these past 2 weeks. Like what does that look like for you in prepping for that?
Yeah. And it's funny because when my coach and I were mapping out the detox, Kelsey and I will be in Austin. I think by the time that this launches, we will have already gone to Austin.
We will be in Austin. No.
We will be in Austin.
Yeah. I think it posts on the 27th.
So we will have already been in Austin. We will have already been in Austin or touched the state of Texas, essentially.
We're either in Texas or we're out of Texas now, but we're one of the two.
One of the two. So my coach and I were looking, this is actually a big piece of advice I want to go back to is like when you are mapping a detox, when you are mapping these protocols, do look at your social calendar. I mean, if I had a full-blown vacation in the Dominican Republic, I would have been like, hey, I'm not going to start this protocol until I'm back from vacation. Like, you have to be strategic with when you're doing it for your own mental sanity, in my opinion. And so for us, we were mapping it out and I was like, hey, I have these literal 2 weeks, perfect 2 weeks. I had nothing on the calendar at this point, okay? I want to make that clear. I was looking at it, I'm like, I am not booked and busy. This is like insane. This is crazy. This is great. And then we were like, perfect, let's start. And then spontaneously, I got a text from my mom. My detox started on a Thursday. I got a text from my mom on like a Wednesday. And she was like, hey, my friend just gave me 2 free tickets to the Patriots scrimmage. Do you want to go? And my mom and I, we love football. That was my whole culture growing up, like was obviously watching the Patriots dynasty and like what a treat that was. Yeah. And so when she had said that, I was like, oh shit, like I am starting my detox tomorrow. I don't know how this is going to go. Also, I don't know how I'm going to feel because like when you are detoxing, that initial first half of it is like really tough, stripping back caffeine. But I said in my eyes, I was like, I'm about to move in like 9 weeks. I'm not going to say no to this. So I was like, yep, I will go. At that point, I didn't know fully what it was going to look like going, but I was like, I will go. But I made a clear boundary of the only thing is that I'm not going to be able to eat out. I just made that boundary because I did not want to have the temptation of going out to eat or like already kind of messing things up when I was in the beginning of it. Then that following week comes, and my friend from college was doing her like beach week with her family at a beach about an hour away from me. And this is a friend I don't see often. I've gone, over a year and a half at times not seeing her. She was one of my bridesmaids, one of my good friends though. So of course I was like, I want to see her. So we got invited up to the beach 2 days. So I did that. And it was her birthday and her mom's birthday. So I was surrounded by cake and hot dogs and cupcakes and celebrations and all the things. And then that Friday was my friend's husband's birthday party at their house. Again, cake, cookout food, all the vibes, all the things. And then that Saturday, this past Saturday, I went to the beach with my best friend and my husband because it's so nice out. And guys, I'm about to move. I do want to live my life. I do want to be able to like go. Not a lot of beaches. And to be fair, the summer is going to be ending very soon in New England anyway. So like everyone's trying to squeeze it in. So all of that combined, obviously I had 5-6 events that I hadn't planned for or things I hadn't planned for. So what I did was I made my smoothies in the morning. I would double up on my smoothies serving size wise. So I actually make double the serving and then I save one half and I have one of those like Travelish NutriBullets that I think is going to be also touching down in Texas with me. But NutriBullets. So I would put one of those in there so that in midday I could just like blend it up and have my smoothie in the morning. Luckily, my snacks were so easy to travel with. So like apples, carrots, hummus, like I literally packed a lunchbox everywhere I went. And I just hyper planned my schedule. I also told anyone that I was seeing that like, hey, I'm on this detox. So my friend that I visited up at the beach, I was like, hey, I'm going to bring my lunch so that when I got there, I didn't feel suddenly this pressure to like have what they're having because I know that that's something a lot of people battle with. But versus I like set the boundary before I even got there. And then my friend whose birthday party they were having at their house, she was kind enough to text me and be like, hey, what do you want? Like, I know that you're on this detox. Like, what can I pick up for you? And I was like, hey, could you grill some chicken for me and some zucchini? That would be perfect. I brought my own salad. I brought my own sweet potato and I made actually like a salad bowl with the chicken, the zucchini, the sweet potato, the greens with my garlic expressions dressing. So it was bringing my lunch practically to everything that I was doing or meals to everything I was doing. When I was at the tail end of it, my coach did help me with figuring out like, hey, what could I order out at a restaurant? So on Saturday when I was with my friend, I was allowed to have shrimp. So I would just have like the shrimp cocktail, but without the sauce. So I would just have like literally the shrimp. I love shrimp, so I will eat shrimp in any form, to be completely honest. And then for dinner, I had actually it was the perfect plate because I am allowed to have broccoli. So I had literally broccoli, sweet potato, and shrimp for my dinner meal. They had it on the menu and I was like, perfect. That's going to be great. I asked for them to try not to cook it in any additional butters, oils. Like I was like, hey, just really as like plain as you can make it, as strange as that. Again, the girl was probably like one of these girls, but I just said, hey, for dietary reasons, like, can you cook it that way or can they do it? And it was very much a scratch kitchen, which helped. I think if you go to a chain, it's a lot different, but scratch kitchen, they were like, yep, we can cook it however you want. That sounds really good. And it was great. And I was able to put salt on stuff to just like have extra flavor. Again, were there things on the menu that I would have wanted? Would I have wanted to have the freaking Oreo ice cream cake that was in front of me 3 times this past week? Yes. I know. Talk about temptations. I was like, it was just not the tease that I was getting. It was not expected. But with all of that being said, like I was so proud of myself. Like, and I just kept messaging my coach every evening, like, I did it. Like I did that because it's been a while since I've had to go to something and restrict myself. Like Kelsey and I very much live the life of like, have the foods you love. If you have specific goals, be strategic with it, which is exactly the season I am in right now. And yeah, I know that there's going to be another opportunity to have Oreo ice cream cake. Like that's the other thing I had to that's the thing that you guys have to remember if you're on a restrictive diet, on a detox, is like this isn't the last supper. That seeing that cake was not like, oh my God, this is the last time on earth I'm ever gonna be able to taste an Oreo ice cream cake. It actually was me saying, hey, there's going to be other opportunities for this. I have countless other birthdays that I have to celebrate, countless other things that hopefully I get to celebrate. Hopefully I get to, have those moments and that privilege. But in that moment, the privilege was me being able to take care of my body. And because of that, prove that it's possible to people also around me that like, hey, you can have these boundaries and do these things. And I was really happy to share that on social media because I think a lot of people get stuck in that. So I was showing like my lunchbox and the glass containers, and I would just microwave it. So when there's a will, there is a way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, how much do you want it? And like, also, is it worth like the 2 weeks? It is strict. And I think a lot of people will look at it as, I actually was working through someone in our cohort did one of the done for you protocols. And I was like, hey, here's some things that I think she just really needs to focus on for right now. It wasn't protocols, but I was like, hey, and it wasn't even really that strict. It was like, eat in the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking up and eat every 2 to 3 hours after that, have balanced meals.
Yep.
And she felt like that was very all or nothing. And I was like, it is all about if she wants to heal because there was some blood glucose dysfunction going on, like just really elevated blood glucose levels throughout the day. And thought of it as all or nothing. And I think when you think about it that way, it's like you do have to be all in. It's a protocol. But like you said, it's just a for now protocol. It's not a for always protocol. Like there will be a time where you have a lot more flexibility. But if you want to heal, like it has to be something you just go all in on. But kind of switching gears, we've kind of alluded to our functional team and what that looks like. So do you want to just like go through kind of how we like even go through that process with clients and why we do it and what that looks like, I guess from like the start to somewhat of the finish?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I can kick it off with saying like when a client comes to us and we do notice abnormalities, and I mean, we look very in depth with our clients, like we're looking at literally their stress, their hunger, their progress photos. Like if we notice anything that is abnormal, even in their intake form, like, or even on the sales call, if Kelsey and I are talking to you and we think that something more in depth is going on, we're immediately going to bring up this thing called the BHE, which I talked about a little bit earlier. So it's the biometric health evaluation. It is a dense quiz. It's a multiple choice quiz, but it's like 200 plus questions. For a very good reason though, because again, going back to feeling heard, feeling validated, it's like the first point of contact to where people are like, oh, I'm not crazy for having these symptoms. But the BHE is this type form quiz you take. It then sends results to their coach. So whether that's me, Kelsey, or one of our assistant coaches, we then plug it into a Google sheet. And essentially, I always like to call it a red light, green light, yellow light, red light, green, like red light, green light, yellow light, red, yellow, green light system. Because those are the colors that pop up. And basically we're looking, I don't have it right in front of me, but we have basically the gastrointestinal system. We have the hormone systems for both male and female, the endocrine system. I know I'm blanking on a couple, glucose regulation. And I think there might
come in.
I was going to say
gastrointestinal, liver, gallbladder, endocrine, glucose regulation, mood, and then male, female hormones.
Yes. So it'll basically come back with numerics of all of that. We plug in the numbers into the different systems, and the numerics do mean something, but really it's the colors that we present to the client of like, hey, red is like highest level of dysfunction in these areas. Yellow is like that, there's a little bit of a flag waving. We have to take a look at that. It could mean nothing. It could mean something depending too on like where someone is in their cycle and if they're having additional symptoms, like all of those considerations. Green usually means like, hey, this is probably not something that needs to be like highly addressed at this very moment, but all of that together concludes for us what test needs to be ordered. Additionally, with that, does a blood sugar log need to be done? If they're having glucose dysregulation issues, at that point, then we'll have them do a blood sugar log where we'll see kind of what's going on and put them on some blood sugar support or help them with their nutritional dietary needs or even meal timing at that point, depending on their habits. I find a lot of times it's like habit based that needs to be adjusted, both with obviously supplementation and support. So based on all of that, it'll determine the hierarchy of what we need to do. For some clients, it's starting with metabolic and then going to hormone testing, then going to a GI map. For other clients, it could be just a GI map or just a hormone test. It's really individualized to the client. But when I present this BHE to the client, after actually showing it to our functional team, so once the BHE comes in, we'll send it to our functional team. Krista is the one who primarily oversees everything that we do, and we'll get their opinion on it. Hey, we're seeing this. I always like to say to Krista, I'm like, I think we need to order this, but I really want to know what your opinion is, because I think it's also fun to learn it myself and get to the point where I'm extra proficient in it. And she'll just give basically feedback via typed message or voice memo and let us know kind of what she's thinking based on it. I do like to give some context to the client as well. Like, hey, this client's been dealing with this. Here's how old they are. Here's what their occupation is, just to give a little more insight. And then from there, I'll present it to the client and say, hey, here's everything that we're finding on the BHE. This is my opportunity to make the client feel really heard towards their symptoms of why they're probably experiencing what they've been experiencing. And then from there, giving the client the opportunity to order a test. For us, we cover the test of a metabolic or hormone test. If they need a GI map, which is more expensive, we'll basically cover what would have been the cost of the hormone, and then the client will pay whatever's left over. A lot of people don't do that. I had to pay for my GI map completely out of pocket. So my coach doesn't have that included. For us, we do. But yeah, I don't know if you want to take it from there.
Yeah, it's we're in the process of really like improving the system too, and making sure that we're like covering everything, because I think our functional team is very well versed in helping us solve all of these things that are going on, especially in a team that like we're coaches, right? Our goal is nutrition, fitness, and lifestyle, and like we're not all really in depth into the functional side. But as the world is shifting, we live in a world where I think something you had brought up earlier was like protocols, and we were talking about how you're going through it with a coach. We live in a world, and I am the same way. We all want to do things on our own. Like we want to just figure it out on our own, save money, whatever that may be. Maybe it's pride, do things on our own. But the thing is, like, as a result now, that's higher stress. Like we live in a world of stress. We live in a world of a lot of like go, go, go. Never like not taking care of yourself, like normalizing these things, drinking, eating out. I will say the drinking is getting, there's like a mocktail movement going on right now, which is great. But except for that, they're the same prices, all the alcoholic
Mocktail prices
beverages
are going up because everyone's like,
Yeah.
oh, if we're not drinking, we're still
I'm like,
gonna
hi, I actually literally can't drink. Why is this $15? It's juice. So anyways, but because of that and just toxin overload, like everyone is starting to fad diets. Everyone is starting to experience now functional issues. And so that's why we brought the functional team in to support our team. And also any coaches that are in Apex Coach Accelerator can actually upgrade and get support of our functional team as well to support their clients. Because something we were finding was all of our clients have clients who have these issues as well. And so it's just been super helpful to have a functional team guide us, and a functional team this is their job. Like their job is literally to help solve gut dysfunction, hormone dysfunction, metabolic dysfunction, all of these things that we just need more support on. And so it's been such a nice thing. And we combine both of the protocols that the functional team is giving, and then getting more in depth about lifestyle protocols, nutrition protocols, because that's kind of what the functional team, they'll give like, hey, here's the protocols for supplements, like these are the things we feel they need to take, here is why. And then from there, it's kind of on us as coaches to put together the nutrition and lifestyle plan, because they don't have as much of they're not as in the client's life. Like that's still on us, which is where I kind of come in and will help give those protocols. So it's just really nice to have that blend and to have answers, because I was talking about that client that came to me in the cohort with her client who's having a ton of dysfunction. And I remember there was a time, it's exactly why last September, I was like, hey, I need to like do something about this. I'm having way too many clients come in with a slew of different things. And I hate being like, I can't help you. Like, I only know what I know. And I've learned so much, and my perspective has shifted a lot. So I think for coaches that are listening to this too, that still think like, there's no such thing as metabolic dysfunction, hormone dysfunction. Like you're kind of just still resistant to that side of things. You think it's probably too woo-woo. It's happening around us, and solving it it's a blend of woo-woo and science. Like that's just the truth. And I think be a conspirator if you want to, of maybe the government's holding us back from like the answers we need, whatever it is. Like I don't know why it's not more common knowledge, but there are things going on in the world around us and like people's bodies that it's going to start to become a real issue. So I think
Yeah.
it's just better to get ahead of it.
Yeah, and I'll even like say for myself too, I have had to do things that are out of integrity for me. Like out, I think that's the right word to use, where it's like, you know, and Kelsey and I are going to talk on this eventually of like, things that we do now that, we before maybe didn't believe in or was
Hmm.
preaching differently. Like we have definitely had those thoughts. For me, I used to think cardio was the devil. Cardio is not the devil. Like it doesn't have to be that way. I used to think that like everybody needed to go into bulks at one point and like do nutrition periodization to that degree. Like I
Yeah.
used to have these really intense belief systems that have changed a lot with time. And a lot of the coaches in our cohort that we get to see and we get to mentor. Even last night, one of the coaches was like, "Hey, I think she was like, I feel kind of dumb like saying this, but I didn't even know these things." I'm like, I didn't
Yeah.
either. Like, I had no idea at one point these concepts, but the things that I'm doing right now of like, again, restriction is, and I came from a point at one point where I was like, you don't need to restrict yourself at all. That you can eat all the foods, you can do all the things. You actually can't in every
Yeah.
single season of life. Like right now, I'm pretty much gluten free, dairy free. As of tomorrow, I will be getting a much longer food list, which is very exciting. So I can actually have like a lot more things. I can have decaf coffee again, thank God. Not every day, but I will like at least I will take the flavor. I will take it if I can have it. But it's doing all these things that are uncomfortable and are technically out of integrity for me, stripping back food and saying no to foods and telling clients that same thing too of like, hey, sometimes you need to say no to this stuff, coming from someone who used to say you can say yes to everything and find a good balance. Like it's not always that simple. No alcohol, no caffeine, no soda, no this, no that. It's hard. Sorry if you can hear Frankie slurping his water right now. He's a hydrated boy, he's drinking his gallon a
Yeah,
day, just
he's
like
having
me,
it. Oh God, a dog with a gallon a day would be wild.
literally. Um, but yeah, like the whole point is just, it is, and you said it, you're like, it's uncomfortable, like
Yeah.
giving these protocols. Does it feel limiting? Yes. Will your clients have pushback? Yes. I had pushback, especially back in 2022 before I even knew a lot of this stuff. It was still very much like this whole new concept. Now I see it everywhere. And I think people are normalizing, like even mold infections, like people are normalizing, or not normalizing, I should say, they're normalizing getting help for these symptoms, for these problems. And sometimes you have to put yourself in a different environment to recognize like this isn't normal. Like the way that I'm feeling is not normal. And yeah, and then on the topic of lifestyle, like I said, I stripped back my workouts. I went from 4 days a week to 2 days a week. My workouts are literally 30 minutes long. They're nothing dense. I'm doing an RP of a 6. They're not hard by any means. I still get to walk every day, which is good for my mental health. I love walking and getting in my steps. Doing yoga once a week, twice a week. I'm not the best with that. That is something I need to do better with.
I feel you.
It can be incorporated with also like going into a sauna and doing deep belly breathing before you start your meals. Like even screen free eating, like put the screens away while you're eating your food. Is that perfect every day for me? No, it's actually been very busier week this week, but are there benefits to all these things? Yes. Are they the simplest? No, but at the end of the day, not all restriction is bad. And also like not all protocol is going to be made out of convenience. Like you have to be actually coming from the point of view of healing, and that's not going to be convenient for a lot of people.
Yeah. It's and to the obviously you said we'll have a podcast on this, but it's easy to be the person saying like that's not a thing, that's not a thing, you're making that up. But then to also research it, I've become so much more, I think, understanding and a little more empathetic in terms of like realizing these things over the course of taking this cert because you realize that there are real things going on. And like you said, like there's just things I would never have done. And now I hear things or I talk about things and it's not like, and I think it's really confusing from a client standpoint because they do see it as like, hey, you preach there shouldn't be an all or nothing, but now you're saying there is. And it's like, it's subjective. Like now I look at literally every single thing in the health and fitness realm as subjective. There's very rarely a time where someone will ask me a question and I'm like, blanket statement, yes, or blanket statement, no. It's like, it depends. Well, what else is going on? Let me dig into this. And it is just so crazy how much different your mindset becomes when you actually look into these things and see them for yourself too. And I think for you too, having gone through this, it's very much easier to be like, oh, wow, Like, these are real things that are happening. And believe it or not, as a coach, your clients will still come to you with these issues. And if you refuse to believe it, your clients are going to look for help elsewhere. So I think the more well-versed you can become, or even just getting support, you don't have to get a certification. That's exactly why we have the functional team and why Krys had hired the functional team before we merged. And I like it is, I will say the certification, digging into it has been beautiful, like so great, and will be helpful in the long run for us. But you don't need a certification. Just partner up with a functional team or with us and get the functional team for cheaper.
Yep.
And I think that just having that support, or if you're even a client, like don't be afraid to reach out and like be your own, why can't I think of the word?
Advocate.
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
There's not a lot in here. But be your own advocate. Actually, I was bad with words before pregnancy, so I can't really say that. Like, I've never been good with words. But yeah, be an advocate for yourself, because and find proper help as
Yep.
well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll end it with that for sure. Of like, you don't have to become the expert in it. Like it's going to be impossible to be the expert in anything. You're not going to be able to be everything for everyone. Like that's impossible. That is why at Apex we have a pelvic floor therapist, a physical therapist, and a functional team, because I recognize the direction that we both do of what the fitness industry and the health industry is going to be evolving into.
Mhm.
I think we're moving in a better direction of support. And that's why, we want to be able to provide that to coaches for a more affordable rate than like going and getting the certification or going in and contracting your own functional practitioner into your business. It's expensive. It's a lot. We're very thankful to have the team that we have and that they wanted to partner with us. And we're generous enough to allow us to do that, to make this more accessible for coaches through our business. So if you are a coach who even just has curiosity around it, like set up a call with Kelsey and I. Genuinely, like, we're here for the conversations, the discussions, the challenges that you're having. Because it's not normal, and we really want to support you, and by doing that support your clients, because it's all in the ripple effect we get to create.
Yeah, and I think to that point, like if you ever think you're having something, and I think as a coach, it can be really hard to feel like you have these things. I had a coach say like she's going through protocols right now, and she's like, I just can't believe I let it get to this point. And I'm like, but you didn't let it get to this point. She has just a ton of compounded stress that wasn't optional stress, just life stress that happened. And I think it's very easy to feel that way as a coach. And I'm not sure if you had felt that way, but it's just like, oh, I'm like preaching. Well, you said at the beginning, I'm preaching all these things and I can't do them. And like, it's not always your fault. Like, things just sometimes happen that can be beyond our control, and just the crazy things happen. I see it happen with coaches all the time. So don't feel like you're any less of a coach or any less of a person just by asking for help. And Krys and I are always here, even if you want to explain the circumstances, even if you're not a part of APAC, like explain the circumstance of what's going on. Message us on Instagram. Our Instagrams will be in the show notes. But we're always here to help, even see if there is any dysfunction. I just did it for a BHE for a client because she was like, I'm experiencing a lot of brain fog and exhaustion. I did the BHE. It's literally all green. So it's like, hey, there's just some different like lifestyle protocols we just need to adjust. Like, you're fine. And that's the cool part, is just getting like reassurance that you're not like, nothing is deeply wrong yet, but it just means we need to like get ahead of it so that nothing does happen either. So just being like an advocate, even if the smallest thing is off,
Yeah,
it's okay to get
absolutely.
help.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's totally okay to get help. And yeah, I'm so deeply passionate just about like normalizing you getting help at this point. Stop normalizing the symptom. And yeah, as a coach, our whole job is to show up on social media and be the version of what our clients want to be. And you will feel the deepest amount of imposter syndrome when you are dealing with symptoms and living a life behind the scenes different than the one that you're trying to show up on social media. It is exhausting to live a double life. Like, it truly is. And so for all the coaches out there who do feel the imposter syndrome, whether that just be in your health and fitness journey or whatever, you're even just in internal health, if you're experiencing things that feel off and feel like, gosh, who am I to be on social media talking about this? Like, that is a red flag. Like, that is a sign from your mind literally telling you something is off. Like, you are doing something is not right. You are not yourself. You can't control all the stressors in life. Could I have controlled what had unfolded this year for me? No, there was no control over any of that, but I can take the power back of saying, I don't have to live my life this way for the second half of the year, for the rest of my life. I can do that. At the end of the day, it's all active choices we get to make as far as how we heal ourselves and what actions we want to take towards that. So there's no shame in how you're feeling. I have felt it. If you guys want to send me a message and you're experiencing imposter syndrome right now with your own health and fitness journey, like, that was my life, and I wasn't very vocal about it because I was trying to just normalize things and try to push it back with all the other stressors. But yeah, I'm really proud of myself for getting to speak up, and I'm proud of anyone who gets to speak up and truly be the advocate.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you for sharing your journey. It was hopefully helpful to anyone listening that maybe is going through it or has clients going through it. So thank you. And thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.